Now at 9, a new survey aims to gauge the need for public transportation among Joplin residents.
A project 20 years in the making that pays homage to our armed forces will now go to building a memorial for them. I'm Anthony Saviello. I'll have more coming up.
And President Biden announces relief for more than 100,000 student loan borrowers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Authorities in St. Louis arrest 3 men suspected in the murder of an Independence, Kansas man. U.S. Marshals and St. Louis County Sheriff's deputies today arrested 37-year-old Kevin Quinn, 20-year-old Aquan Quinn, and 23-year-old Kevin Martin. Authorities say those 3 are involved in the death of Jason York back in October of last year in Independence. They all face charges of first-degree murder and aggravated robbery. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy joins us with a first look at weather.
Well, it turned out to be another great one for us today. Temperatures fantastic, a little bit cooler than what we saw yesterday, but still great. 69. Look at our average high, it's 52, so a good chunk above where we should be. Look at the record, 87 back in 96. Started at 51, which is almost our average high for this time of the year. Most of us now low to mid 50s, still upper 50s once you get into our southern counties. It's a little breezy out there. These winds have backed down a little bit after sunset, but still we have northwesterly wind, kind of 5 to 10. Those are going to pick up again for us as we go into the daytime hours tomorrow. A few little clouds shooting through, but in general, very nice evening. We have thunderstorms rolling away from us, and the great temperatures, they're going to be sticking around. A little breezy, fantastic weekend. Another storm system next week. We'll break it all down for you here in a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, a project at Parsons High School that started in 2004 is now being used to help honor our nation's veterans. KOM's Anthony Saviello has more.
Turn it to the right, Zach. Right there, you got it.
A project that has been built over the last 2 decades went from this to this. Bruce Ray is the mastermind behind this build.
Spring 2004, that's the first time we brought students into the project. And then since then, I counted the semesters that we actually worked on it. That was about 16 semesters out of the last 20 years.
With the help of his students, this 3/4 scale Humvee is a centerpiece for the Parsons Tech Center.
It's electric. We started back in 2004 with a 2000 Chevrolet Tracker that had been totaled.
But now, the Humvee will serve a different purpose.
I can't say enough for Bruce and his classroom. You know, they've put, you know, what I say, their heart and soul into it, you know, and when this is done, it'll be because of them.
With the approval of the school board, the Humvee has been donated to the Pathways of Freedom Veterans Memorial, a project that Bruce and his classroom have also designed. The Humvee will now be used to raise money for the construction of the memorial.
And we're about a third of the way there, you know, but you know, something like this would put us over the hump, that's for sure.
These drawings created by Mr. Ray and his class show that the new Veterans Memorial will be placed right here on the north lawn of the Parsons Municipal Building.
For years I've been asked, what are you going to do with the Humvee when it's finished? And I never had a good answer. And this seemed like the perfect fit.
Not only does this sign mark the future home of the Veterans Memorial here in Parsons, but it also is an insurance to people that they will finally have a place to honor our nation's veterans. Reporting in Parsons, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Well, Mr. Ray says despite the Humvee being only 3/4 scale, his goal was to make it as accurate to the source material as possible, all the way down to the rivet replacement. Well, a new poll finds a majority of public school teachers believe state governments have too much influence over what's taught in their classrooms. According to the Pew Research Center, 58% of kindergarten through 12th grade teachers feel that way. When it comes to race and inequality, 60% of teachers say parents should not be allowed to opt their children out of those lessons. More than 100,000 student loan borrowers are getting some good news. President Biden announced it while campaigning in California yesterday. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has more from New York.
This plan is the most generous repayment program ever.
More than 150,000 borrowers could be getting emails with a message from President Joe Biden saying their student debt has been wiped out.
Well, college is way too expensive.
I went to grad school and had $150,000 in loans when I graduated, but I paid those off a while ago.
To qualify, people need to have paid their student loans for 10 years and borrowed $12,000 or less. The Biden administration says this is the first round, and it cleared more than $1 billion in loans.
I'm happy to have been able to forgive these loans because when we realize and relieve Americans of their student debt, they're free to chase their dreams.
Biden's original, more extensive student debt relief plan was shut down by the Supreme Court. The administration believes this plan will withstand any legal challenges.
And the president decided he wanted to make a political payoff and that he was willing to do so in a way that Congress does not appear to have specifically authorized him to do.
The Biden administration says it has now cleared $138 billion in student debt. Some see this as a way to court younger voters ahead of the election. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Well, it's tax season and scammers are looking to take advantage. The IRS is warning of a scam to get the electronic filing identification number of tax filers. They say it involves sending an email to a tax pro pretending to be a tax software provider requesting the number by fax. Scammers can then use the information to steal client data and file fraudulent returns. AT&T says it has made progress restoring some of its network after thousands of customers reported cell service outages. More than 64,000 customers reported issues with placing calls, texting, or accessing the internet, according to tracking site Down Detector. An industry source says there's no indication the outage was caused by a cyber attack or other malicious activity. They say it appears to be related to how cellular services hand off calls from one network to the next. Coming up, how vending machines are becoming an important tool in the fight against opioid overdoses. More than 111,000 people in the U.S. died from a drug overdose in the 12-month period that ended in September. That's according to provisional data from the CDC. Many of those deaths were due to synthetic opioids, but there's a new weapon in the battle against opioid overdoses. Mandy Gaither explains how vending machines are being used in the effort to save lives.
It's an ongoing crisis in the U.S. Drug overdose deaths surged during the COVID-19 pandemic and have remained near record levels.
You know, when I hear those numbers, I hear those in the voices of my friends. That are currently struggling with substance use disorder.
Jason Hall knows the struggle all too well. He says he got sober after a battle with drug use and has personally administered naloxone to reverse opioid overdoses several times. Now he helps stock the medicine, which is known by the brand name Narcan, in vending machines like this one to make it more accessible.
This work is not abstract to me in any way. You know, when we talk about statistics or when we're looking at these numbers, I have a face to put with every one of those numbers.
From California to New York, vending machines stocked with harm reduction tools have been placed in areas where high numbers of opioid overdoses have been reported. In Oklahoma, some of the machines are placed along turnpikes, in casinos, on university campuses, at a library, or outside fire stations. The vending machines also offer free fentanyl test strips, which are small strips of paper that can test drugs for the presence of fentanyl, a powerful synthetic opioid that drives most overdose deaths in the U.S. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, some critics question whether the machines enable dangerous behaviors. Naloxone vending machine programs often can face opposition from the communities where they are placed, but advocates say the machines are a way to reduce the number of lives lost to overdose while still reducing the stigma. Well, Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later it's time for another Thunder Thursday. The team hosts another of the Western Conference's top teams in their first game back from the All-Star break.
Well, it turned out to be another mild one for us today. Temperatures fantastic, pretty much like we have seen the entire month of February so far. Look at this, through 22 days, 17 days have been above normal. Remember, January was below normal, but we've only had a handful of days that have ended up below that mark. And yesterday, 74, today up to 69 degrees. Looks great. Here's our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam. We're looking downtown northeast. Still a little breezy out there, and it's going to stay that way as we go through the overnight hours tonight. All right, look at our highs across the region. Everybody upper 60s to lower 70s. We've dropped off a bit, but still it's pretty nice. We're sitting at 55 in Chanute, Coffeyville 56, Chetopa 54. We have Afton at 58 degrees, Harcoxie 53, Pineville 57, Monette is checking in at 52 degrees. 7th and Rangeline 54, west northwesterly winds, light. It was a little breezy earlier today, but these have kind of let up a little bit. They'll pick up a little bit again as we go through the daytime hours tomorrow. We're going to have northwesterly winds gusting 20 upwards to 25. The winds shift out of the south by the time we head into Saturday, and we'll start to pick up again late in the day on Saturday. All right, pretty much clear skies, a little band of clouds kind of rotating through. We had thunderstorms earlier across Arkansas, rolling off toward the south and to the east. But if you look west, not a whole bunch going on. That's our weather that we're going to see as we go through the next several days. We have a couple weak little waves that will drop in and give us some clouds. Besides that, we look pretty good. All right, let me walk you through time. Clouds rotate through tonight. We drop back upper 30s to near 40. As we go through the morning hours tomorrow, that northwesterly wind, upper 50s to near 60 by noon, and most of us will go 63, 64, 65 degrees for an afternoon high, which is pretty good. All right, tomorrow night, back and down again, mid 30s, overnight lows. And then as we go into Saturday, look at the winds, they're switching out of the south. This brings us back into lower 60s, but will warm us up by the time we head into Sunday. All right, your Friday planner, 41 to start, 59 by noon, 63 by 4. High temp right around 64 degrees, and we're going to get a great weekend with lower 60s Saturday. We should go lower 70s on Sunday, so the entire weekend is going to be fantastic. You can get outside and enjoy it. Look at this to start next week, 70s, mid 70s across the region. We'll get some clouds, but we're in a really nice stretch of very nice temperatures, kind of like we've seen for most of the month. 64s tomorrow and Saturday, 72 Sunday, 76 on Monday. Rain chances roll in next Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, well, we're going to want those rain chances, but in the meantime, let's enjoy it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Beautiful weather. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, the U.S. will experience a total solar eclipse this spring. April 8th is the exact date. While the path of totality won't pass across many states, southeastern Oklahoma is expected to fall directly in the path. Now, the path of totality will completely cover McCurtain County. We're going to have information and advice on KOAMNewsNow.com if you may plan to make the trip for the occasion. Coming up, a new survey aims to gauge the need for public transportation among Joplin residents. Fort Scott Chamber of Commerce hosted a job fair today. Job seekers had the opportunity to visit more than 31 booths and a variety of employers, recruiters, and community resources. For one of the recruiters, the event served as a potential safety net.
It's been a really good turnout today. So the employers, what I had counted prior to today, there's about 43 employers here and 360 jobs total combined that they have open. So it's anything and everything under the sun that they have available. So manufacturing, there's office jobs. We have like I said, we have the military recruiters here as well. So just different options.
Kansas Works also attended the event to provide additional resources and assistance. A Joplin-based organization conducts a survey to gather information about transportation needs. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
One Joplin is a nonprofit organization conducting a survey to gauge how many Joplin residents need public transportation. They plan on sharing the results with other local organizations.
Because this information will be used by multiple entities. So we plan to take this survey results to City Council, but also Economic Security with their CARS program is going to be using the data. So we have lots of different entities that will be utilizing this. But the biggest thing is we want to make sure that we're giving everybody the opportunity to complete this.
All Joplin residents are encouraged to take the survey. One Joplin says the more feedback they receive, they hope to catch the ears of the City Council.
Get the City Council to put this kind of at the top of their priority list, that we know that there were funds received to help to do a study for a regional transportation plan, and we think that's great and needed. However, we feel like it's really important to get the trolley just up and running, even while that planning is going on in the back end.
Joplin's trolley system has been out of service since November of 2022. Since the closure, some residents have been wondering if the service will return.
I've been asking them out several times. I called the office, MAP's office, several times to see if it's going to be returning, and all they'll tell me, well, they got drivers hired and trained, but they haven't got a date of when it's going to start up again.
Right. I've heard that it's going to start back. I've heard that over a year. I've heard that they're going to start back.
More Joplin residents use the MAPS transportation system since the trolley's closure. However, residents say there are pros and cons to using the MAPS as transport.
Now, MAPS is very affordable, extremely affordable. But, it always helps. There's a lot of people around here who need transportation. A lot of elderly people around here.
And you just about never know when you're going to get that ride. Like if you call now, you could be waiting an hour, you could be waiting 2 hours. It all depends on how their system goes, could be behind and stuff like that.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
To take the survey, you can go online to KOAMnewsnow.com. The survey concludes April 1st. Well, less clutter and softer lighting. Up next, we learn about those and other features making a new Starbucks cafe more accessible. Starbucks has opened its first cafe designed to give customers with disabilities more store accessibility in Washington, D.C. It includes softer indoor lighting to minimize glare, shadow patterns, and backlighting to help people read menu items or in-store info. Materials that minimize background noise or echoes, which could disrupt people using hearing aids. And minimum clutter at the front of the store to make it easier for customers in wheelchair or motorized scooters to get around, and lower counters. A lot of neat features. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. An Oklahoma community is asking questions after a non-binary student dies following a fight. Plus, with spring not too far away, we look at the best time to start planting those vegetables in your garden.
You're watching the 4 States Most-Watched News. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The death of a non-binary high school student following a fight has members of the community split. Some want more information on what happened, while others are concentrating on mourning the loss while the investigation unfolds. John Hayes has the latest. I just kind of stood back because no matter how I moved, I would have got hit. Wausau High Schooler Shayla Perez is describing the fight the school district says happened in a high school bathroom nearly 2 weeks ago. I was actually in one of the stalls. Perez says Nix Benedict was involved in that fight and that this had get slammed into the paper towel dispenser twice, and like first it came open and then it like came off the hinge on one side. Happened to them just a day before the school district and police released statements that Benedict died. Silence from police and the district until Tuesday, February 20th. Two statements released. Owasso Public Schools clarifying in its statement that the district was quiet, quote, due to the ongoing investigation in an effort to not disrupt police and out of respect and for the confidentiality for all involved. That statement also laying out a timeline of events the day of the fight to clear up speculation and misinformation. It says the fight was broken up, all students involved were walking when they left the restroom, checked by a nurse, and while all of the injuries were determined to be non-life-threatening, a parent was advised to have their child seen by a doctor. A few of their hair was messed up, but for the most part, no one really had, like, concerning, like super concerning marks or anything. There was like a few bruises, maybe. Including the student that died. Yes. But how did Benedict die, and did the fight have anything to do with it? All of the misinformation, and you hear like one thing and then you hear another. There are two questions that have fueled waves of gossip making national headlines. Owasso police say both answers are pending autopsy and toxicology results. A lot of accusations being made against the district, against the police department, against the media, our role in this. Can you speak to how harmful that might be at the end of the day when it comes to really getting answers here and solving this investigation? Oh, I think it's very harmful. Parent Anna Richardson weighing in on how much damage words can do. It's been very negative, and it makes it harder for them to do their jobs. She's organizing a vigil for Benedict this weekend in town to mourn. She hopes can get everyone back on the same page. Coming together as a community and supporting everyone and doing the positive things that we can while we let the professionals do what they need to do. Well, police say they'll spend the next 2 weeks interviewing school staff and students. Once that's done, they'll hand the results over to the county's district attorney. Kansas lawmakers introduced 2 new anti-abortion bills. One bill would create the felony crime of coercion to obtain an abortion. It would require prison time for anyone who convinces someone to get an abortion by threatening physical or financial harm. Another bill would require women to have an ultrasound performed before having an abortion. A bombshell ruling in Alabama on frozen embryos could have widespread implications for doctors and patients trying to have children. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has the story. In Alabama, frozen embryos are now considered children. following a state Supreme Court ruling. People trying to get pregnant using in vitro fertilization are suddenly facing uncertainty. It was a scary thing. We got the green light to start our meds on Friday, which was the same day that the ruling was made. The ruling has also caused several major clinics in the state to pause their IVF programs. Some are concerned with the liability they could face if something happens to an embryo. And I think we should also consider how these rulings affect physicians deciding to go into OBGYN in these states. The decision has already become a major campaign issue, with Vice President Kamala Harris blasting the ruling. Individuals, couples who want to start a family are now being deprived of access to what can help them start a family. Republican candidate Nikki Haley, who used a different type of fertility treatment, said she didn't want a sweeping ban on IVF, but did say an embryo deserved to be treated as an unborn child. I didn't say that I agreed with the Alabama ruling. What the question that I was asked is, do I believe an embryo is a baby? I do think that if you look in the definition, an embryo is considered an unborn baby. The Alabama court ruling stemmed from wrongful death lawsuits filed by couples whose embryos were accidentally destroyed in a storage facility. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News. A bit later, we'll meet a Carl Junction resident who is breaking ground at the Miss Universal Nationals competition.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a nice one for us today. Temperatures back up into the upper 60s, 4 highs, which we will definitely take, especially in the month of February. And it looks pretty good out there right now. Nice shot of the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam, looking off toward the north and to the east, downtown Joplin. All right, look at our highs earlier today. Most of us upper 60s to 70s. Once you got down through northeastern parts of Oklahoma, still looks good right now. Let's go to Greenfield at 50, Seneca 55, Afton 58, Chanute sitting at 51 degrees. Outside 7th and Rangeline, 54 west, northwesterly winds 5 to 10 across the region. We've had kind of a brisk northwesterly wind all day long, but the winds are calming down a little bit and will stay calmer tonight, but start to crank up a little bit again as we get into the daytime hours tomorrow. So we'll get winds gusting kind of in that 20 to 25 mile per hour range. Very similar to what we did see today. Pretty calm most of the day Saturday, and then they'll switch out of the south. So by late Saturday, they'll get moving once again as well. All right, outside right now, we just have a few little clouds kind of skirting through. Thunderstorms from our last system rotating away from us down across parts of eastern Arkansas, Memphis, into Tennessee. But if we look west, there's not a whole bunch going on. That's our weather as we go through the next few days. We actually have a nice little northwest flow, a couple little waves, which will give us clouds. But besides that, we look pretty good. All right, let's go through the overnight hours. Clear skies, dropping back upper 30s to near 40. As we go through the morning hours, we're going to warm upper 50s to near 60, and a little cooler tomorrow, but still great. I think most of us anywhere from 62 to about 65 degrees across the region. Tomorrow night, a little bit cool. We drop back mid-30s for overnight lows or cold. And then Saturday, plenty of sunshine again. We get right back up in that 62 to about 64 degree range, so it looks good. All right, day planner, 41 to start, 59 by noon, 63 by 4, high temp of 64 degrees as we head into the weekend. Saturday, lower 60s. We should get into lower 70s by Sunday, so a great weekend. As we start next week, we go into the mid 70s on Monday. Strong storm system rolls out, so here's Tuesday, we're into the 70s, but showers and thunderstorms develop late Tuesday. And then much colder air pushes in behind this storm system. So that's the next system we'll kind of keep our eyes on over the next few days. 64 tomorrow and Saturday, 72 on Sunday, 76 Monday, 78 on Tuesday. So a nice stretch of very comfortable temps over the next few days.
Yeah, and we like comfort this time of
We
year.
do, it's
there
nice.
There we go. Kind of goes with comfort food, but
Yes.
even better temperatures. All right. Thanks, Doug. With the spring-like weather sticking around, it's time to start planting, but not just anything. Late season frost will kill crops like peppers and tomatoes, so be careful there. Southwest Missouri farmer says onions are a safe bet now. They also recommend planting turnips, beets, and broccoli this time of year. Keep in mind, if you are starting with transplants instead of seeds, it may take some time for them to adjust to your garden's climate. Coming up in sports, Pitt State men's basketball tries to upset the number 14 team in the country. Plus, Afton and Wyandotte girls basketball meet in the regional semifinals. John Dales has highlights from that game and more up next.
Hey, and welcome into another Thunder Thursday. After an 8-day rest during the NBA All-Star break, OKC now returns to its home floor tonight. The Thunder host the Clippers in a meeting of two of the top teams in the Western Conference, and OKC wins big. Final score 129-107. That's the 5th win in a row for the Thunder at Paycom Center. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leads the way with 31 points, and OKC is in second place in the West. 1.5 game lead on everybody else. Now tomorrow, the Thunder Friday nights return to our network of KOAM stations. You can watch OKC play the Wizards at Paycom Center. Catch all the action on the 4-state CW. Things get started with pregame coverage at 6:30. Then the game tips off at 7 as the Thunder go for their 6th consecutive win on their home floor. Over to Oklahoma high school basketball. Playoffs continue this evening in Fairland. Two of our local teams will punch their ticket to the next round by the end of tonight. Good matchup here in the first game. Afton Lady Eagles face the Wyandotte Lady Bears. Early in this contest, Afton gets on the board first. Lady Johnson goes deep for 3, gets it to go. Later in the first, Johnson gets the layup. She scores the first 5 points for Afton. But Wyandotte starts to get hot in the second quarter. Amanda Stevens, nothing but net from 3. Lady Bears lead by 8 at the half. Fast forward ahead of the fourth. Lindy Mikesell gets the steal, then gets the layup on the other end. That ties the game in the fourth quarter. Then it's Mikesell with the steal. She finishes another layup. Afton has a 1-point lead with a minute to go. Lady Bears look to respond. Amanda Stevens gets a clutch bucket to give the Bears the lead right back. Then with 6 seconds left, Wyandotte up by 3. Excel tries to tie the game at the buzzer, but Brindley Collins gets the block. That'll do it. Wyandotte holds on to win a thriller and advance to the regional championship. Bears win at 38-35. Next up, the boys game. The host team, Fairland, in action against the visiting Wyandotte Bears. Opening minutes of this contest, Marquine Webb comes down the court, finishes the layup strong. A few possessions later, Webb gets loose on the open court, gets open for another easy layup. Owls on top by 4, but Wyandotte could really shoot the ball well in this game. Jace Fent knocks down a big three-pointer there. On the other end, Fairland's Kason Renfro fires away. He hits a big 3. The Owls start to pick up the offense just before halftime. We see Carson Schertz go up strong in the paint for the bucket. Then it's Schertz again, taking it himself with a beautiful finger roll layup. Fairland wins convincingly. They win it in the second half. Owls take this one 68-45. Now, both of our local D2 colleges have road games tonight in basketball. Missouri Southern is at Nebraska Kearney. Pitt State visits Fort Hays State. And we start on the women's side. Missouri Southern snaps a 2-game losing skid. The Lions take down the Lopers 86-75. Chrislyn Jones leads the way. She scores 23 points. Different story for the Gorillas, though. They fall 61-49 to the Tigers at Fort Hays State. Harper Schreiner scores a season-high 18 points in a losing effort. Corinna Gerber has her 3rd straight double-double. Over to the men's side, 2 wins for our teams. Let's start with Missouri Southern. The Lions take care of business at Kearney. They win by 18 for their 4th consecutive victory. Meanwhile, Pitt State with a huge upset, 67-63. The Gorillas beat the number 14 team in the country, Fort Hays State. That completes a season sweep over the Tigers. Let's look at sports. Back with more news after this.
A Carl Junction resident is the first person to compete at Miss Universal Nationals with a physical disability. Tabitha Machard-Forcier was crowned Miss Universal Missouri last weekend, and there she also won the People's Choice Award. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has her story.
I know I've inspired other girls that have disabilities to come onto stage and do pageants as well.
To inspire. This is one of Tabitha's Machard-Forcier's mission in life.
How does it feel for you to be in that position of inspiring other girls?
Definitely amazing.
That doesn't mean she sometimes doesn't get nervous.
With nationals, I was definitely a little afraid to be on stage with 50 plus other girls that were bigger and taller and didn't have a disability like me.
But fear was never a reason to stop.
I don't allow it to affect me. I do normal things.
One of the biggest lessons for me was that I had to treat her like she was normal. And when I treated her as normal as I could, she was normal. Sometimes I think I did too good of a job because I can't keep track of her sometimes. She's just off and going.
With the school, work, pageantry, and her nonprofit to take care of, even Tabitha needs to find strategies to keep track of all of her responsibilities.
Definitely a challenge, I would have to say. When I competed at state last week, I was doing homework as well. So it's definitely a balance to know where you need to be, what you're doing.
But Tabitha learned to be responsible and strong at a young age. When she was 2, she was diagnosed with bronchomalacia.
My lungs didn't grow properly, so I spent 6 months in the pediatric intensive care unit. I'm on a ventilator 16 to 18 hours a day to help me breathe.
She almost didn't make it several times. We almost lost her a few times. People never asked. They would just look at us and they would sometimes comment about it like we weren't really there. And sometimes it would really hurt our feelings.
Now, Wilda says they've learned to be louder than the bad comments.
You will hear me the loudest in the audience, guaranteed. I don't hide that I'm very proud of her.
In Joplin, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Tabitha will go to nationals in June in Florida. This will be her 2nd time competing at the national level. We wish her the best. Coming up, a dad's facial hair change got some great reactions from his family. We'll check out the viral video. An Alabama family freaked out when the dad surprised his kids by shaving off his beard. And now their stunned reactions have gone viral with more than 50 million views. Jeannie Moose reports.
All right, take me. Shaving a beard can be traumatic. Not just for the person getting shaved. When Alabama real estate broker Austin Matthews went from this...
Oh yeah.
To this, watch his shocked family react. His 6-year-old daughter with both hands over her mouth. His wife and son stunned. 2-year-old Jude cowered behind a dresser. You might wail too if that beard was all you knew.
Definitely as long as they've all been living, so they've never seen me without any sort of facial hair.
Check out his wife, Jessica.
She was ready to divorce me, wasn't she?
His son even tried the impossible, hiding behind an electrical cord. Posted one commenter, "You are the stranger you warned them about." Though some who glimpsed Austin in the mirror wondered, are you sure it wasn't the shorts? After the video went viral, Austin did a reveal.
It's bad, huh?
Turns out when he was a kid, Austin's dad scared the family by shaving off his mustache. As for his own beard, what's the plan?
It'll be back. This will never happen again. It was a one and done. I got the reaction. It went viral. That's enough for me.
The only family member who didn't seem fazed was the dog. Bowser doesn't whine about hair anywhere.
That's awesome. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of a baby elephant at the Copenhagen Zoo in Denmark. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.